am the arbiter of all things that are cool. I have excellent taste. I am infallible. This is We Have Concerns. Hi, Jeff Cannata.
Hi, Anthony Carboni.
Hello, concerned citizens. Jeff.
Yeah.
We're sending people to space.
Yeah.
All the
Not
time.
as frequently as I'd like, but
More frequently than you'd think, less
That's
frequently
true.
than we'd like.
That's also true.
That's how I would describe it. And certainly more of the people that we're sending to space than ever are unqualified and have no reason to be there.
Well, if by unqualified you mean have any qualifications other than being wealthy, like obscenely wealthy,
Mm-hmm.
then it would be correct. But if by qualified you mean absurdly rich, then I think qualified. You have to say qualified.
Jeff, why would they be absurdly rich if they weren't brilliant and qualified for everything?
We should take their opinions on all things.
All things. Listen, if they got money, they must be smarties. And we know this.
We know this.
We know this is known. But here's what's not known. If we send people to space and they come back, if we send them multiple times or if they're out there for a while, Jeff, and they come back, they gonna get space mutations?
Oh, like they came back with something in their cells?
Like the astronaut's wife sort of thing?
Yeah, like they weren't alone. Like there was something that hitched a ride back inside them. Yeah,
like a not an arrival thing, but the other one.
Species.
Oh, Species is a good one. Species is a good one. I was thinking of the other one that with its the other one that's got Oscar Isaac, and they go into
Dune? Is it Dune?
Yeah, it was Dune. It was Dune. It was definitely Dune.
Moon Knight?
Yeah, it was Moon Knight. I was definitely thinking of Moon Knight. No, it's the other one that's based on a Ted Chiang. And I always forget the name of the movie. And this is where we spend 8 minutes of the podcast trying to think of the name of this movie. And everyone who's listening right now is screaming it. Just screaming it out.
Annihilation?
Yeah. That's the one. You go into an alien area, a space, a place where aliens live, a place that is different than Earth, and you come back. Is it you? Is it space shapeshifter? Are you the same as you were when you went to space? What happened to you?
Yeah, no, this makes for some good sci-fi.
Makes for some great
sci-fi. Are you suggesting that's what's happening with the people we're sending to space IRL?
I would never suggest that. I simply do not have the qualifications.
Are you trying to suggest that Neil Armstrong is Neil Armstrong?
Whoa, Neil Armstrong, more like Neil Tentacle Strong. Yeah. Well, here's the thing. What happens to people when they're in space? We know that there are some short-term things that happen, right? We know that they lose some muscle and some bone density, right?
Their eyeballs get flat.
We know that their eyeballs get flat from the different pressure and gravity. We know that there are some surface level changes that happen that, potentially can be fixed over time, right?
They have dreams that come true.
Sure, they have premonitions. Sure, we know that. We know that if you go into space and you come back, every single one of your dreams is then a premonition.
Yeah.
And we haven't looked at why. And the astronauts keep telling us not to look at why and not to worry about it.
Not to worry.
And that they are still dedicated, normal astronauts, and they still want what a human wants.
Yeah, right, exactly. They say don't worry, but also don't get on the plane on Tuesday.
Right. And also, I'm just here to give one human a warning from another human. not to get on the plane, and that's a normal human thing that humans say to one another. We want to know that we want to know, especially as we're trying to figure out whether we're going to colonize, whether we're going to terraform, whether we want to send people out into space long term, right? Whether we're going to mine for minerals out there on asteroids. There are all these things that feel closer than ever before. And what we want to know is, if we send you out there for a year, 5 years, 10 years, half your life, what's going to happen to you?
Will we recognize you when you get back?
Yeah. Or will you be a bunch of tentacles, just like Neil Armstrong was?
Exactly.
That the cool Buzz Aldrin that we all know from all his cool media appearances and the punching people in the face. Is that really Buzz Aldrin? Or is that the second Buzz Aldrin?
If you took Buzz Aldrin's shirt off, would he just collapse in a pile of tentacles?
It's possible.
You never know. We don't know.
Listen, here are things we do know. We sent Andrew WK and Avril Lavigne into space, and now we know that they've been replaced. There's a second Avril Lavigne and a second Andrew WK, and we know that.
Do they still like to party?
Oh, listen, of course he likes to party. Of course.
Well, then what's the difference?
What's the difference between Andrew WKs then? If they both like to party hard and they enjoy a white t-shirt.
Right.
I
feel like
if we send Avril Lavigne into space and she comes back and she still enjoys cultural appropriation, what's the difference?
The same Lavigne. It's the same Avril, Same.
Did
we send her? Hey, Anthony, quick question. Did we send her to space at Cape Canaveral?
Why don't you go to hell? That's a question that I have for you. Is why don't you go straight to hell?
Just curious.
Yeah, me too. Do you have an answer for me?
No.
All right. Well, I don't have an answer for you either. Go to hell. But no, if we send you into space for a long time, what's happening out there? Different radiation levels, all kinds of different things going on. What happens to you? And especially, we want to send. Listen, I'm saying it's for the safety of people that are going to colonize and work in space, but isn't it also for the wealthy that want to do space tourism?
Yeah, because what will we be if we send our wealthy into space and they come back somehow diminished? Let's say, I don't know, not as wealthy.
Well, that's not going to happen. One thing that they've worked out very well with NASA is exactly how much it costs to send Jeff Bezos into space.
Yeah.
Just so that they know that while he's in space, he will continue making money at a rate that when he comes back, he will at least have the same amount of money.
That's very important,
it's
right?
It's super important.
If his wealth was any less obscene, then is he even Jeff Bezos anymore?
Nobody goes to space on a loss. You know what I mean?
No. Yeah.
You don't go to space on a loss. That's ridiculous.
Right.
That's just bad. That's just bad money management. And we certainly listen. We want them to come back safe and healthy because we need them. We need our billionaires.
Yeah. Who else will show us the way?
But also, like, secretly, we also want to make sure they're not coming back stronger.
Yeah. Correct.
You know what I mean? Like,
because what if you have Bezos plus tentacles? That feels very dangerous.
Bezosicles, benticles, whatever it is, we don't want it.
No.
So what are we going to do? Well, don't worry, Jeff. It turns out that we've been thinking about that.
Yeah.
We've been thinking about it the whole time. And
that's good.
NASA has stored astronaut blood for 20 years to see how space shuttle flights affected it.
Oh, to compare. We've been
keeping the blood.
They got old blood to see if it's playing the long game.
We've been keeping the blood, bud.
Because you can't just have Buzz get off the space shuttle and stroll through the door and be like, I'm fine, guys. Look at me. Not a single tentacle. And then you're like, okay, cool, dude. Cool. And then you don't wait 40 years.
Right.
Because what if the alien mutation is on a slow timeline?
Right. Like he comes back and he goes, don't worry, guys. I don't have a tentacle. But he's like scratching at a little bump on his shoulder.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And then, when he comes back, a month later, 6 months later, that bump's like a little larger. And then 20 years later, all powerful tentacles.
All powerful tentacles. And we could have known if we'd only kept some blood.
Listen, and also, how are we going to do our space rituals if NASA doesn't keep the blood?
That's right. I mean, if we're not cloning Neil Armstrong, what are we even doing?
What are we doing with our lives? What are we doing with his life?
What are we doing with his potentially multiple lives?
His multiple lives that we are using to our benefit. Our benefit.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you this. We've kept the blood of 14 astronauts for over 20 years. We've watched we've watched them go into space and come back. We've compared different samples of their blood. And
dude, Anthony, if you're about to tell me we've seen no differences over that time period, I'm going to be mad. I'm going to be mad that you took me on this long walk around the block only to tell me everything's fine. Their blood didn't change.
Don't worry, Jeff. I'm not going to tell you that.
Yeah, baby. Yes.
Don't worry.
Mutations.
Don't worry, Jeff. We all feel happier now that I can say these people's lives are in danger. Does that make you feel better that these people are not safe, Jeff?
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, as far as the entertainment value for right now, I'm in. Tell me what's happened to their blood. Is it turned black and oily?
Eat shit, astronauts. You think you're so much better than us. We've
Risking
talked about
your lives, being intrepid explorers into the vastness of the cosmos.
We've talked about this 100 times. You think you're better than us just because you're physically perfect specimens that can also do math. Go to hell.
Yeah. Just because you are braver, more learned, and more accomplished than I'll ever be?
You think you're better?
You think you're better? Does that make you better than me? I mean, yes, but also your blood's doing weird stuff, so mine won't.
Yeah, my blood's good. And by good, I mean subject to all of the horrible hereditary and genetic things that the earth has done to me through generations of breeding. But I ain't got the space mutations like you dummy. You fucking idiot. You absolute moron.
You went up there thinking you weren't going to mutate at all. Joke's on you, astronaut.
Joke's on you. You're like, I'm not coming back with any sort of dark force in my bloodstream. Idiot. You're full of dark force.
Yeah. And we got proof now.
Now we got to put you in a science cage. Well, here's what's going on. We know that they need to be carefully monitored now because all 14 astronauts in the study showed DNA mutations in blood-forming stem cells.
Oh, my God. What are they turning into?
Pompous assholes. Oh, I'm sorry. That's how they went up. Oh, I'm sorry.
Their DNA is changing?
Their DNA is changing. Now, the mutations are unusually high considering the astronauts' ages. Now, our DNA goes through mutations through life. Our bodies break down. We are but horrible meat machines that are destined to become dust.
Yeah.
However,
if Jeff Bezos doesn't save us first.
He's not saving us. If
Please,
Jeff Bezos doesn't save Jeff Bezos first.
Wait a minute. Does that mean Bezos' blood's going to mutate?
God,
from
your mouth to God's ears, Jeff. One can only hope. But the most common type of mutation that we see in cells is cancer.
Yeah, that's bad. That's bad.
So what we're seeing is they have a higher than usual mutation for their age, but below a key threshold of concern for their age. So what this basically means is if you go into space and you come back, you potentially have a higher risk within your life to get cancer.
This story got a lot less fun, Anthony. I'm going to be honest with you.
Sorry, bud. Space isn't fun. Space wants you dead.
Is this just radiation that they're, I mean, obviously, if you're outside of our ozone and outside of our atmosphere, you're going to be pummeled with a lot more radiation, which is why spacesuits are designed the way they are, which is why space capsules are designed the way they are.
Yeah.
A lot of radiation pummeling everything out there. Is it literally
radiation,
just a function of that?
Yeah. And, radiation is, of course, one of the things that lets moon landing deniers say that the moon landing never happened. They say that if we can't get through the Kuiper bands of radiation without instantly killing someone, which is entirely untrue. And talking about the amount of radiation that astronauts are exposed to, NASA recently changed its lifetime radiation requirements for astronauts. They looked at how it was going and they were like, "Oh snap, dog! We actually we should keep a better look at this, particularly because they're sort of." They were overestimating the amount of radiation that their astronauts could be exposed to, but also they were kind of like limiting women in particular as astronauts and how many times they could go into space, citing the fact that women physically cannot take as much radiation as male astronauts. And what they found actually was that it was kind of a sexist guideline because the amount of radiation per voyage is small. It's the amount of radiations over time, over the amount of voyages and things like that. So they actually made the cap on the amount of lifetime radiation the same for all astronauts. Before it was kind of keeping women and also younger astronauts. So susceptibility to cancers that radiation cause vary with age and reproduction organs. So like the limit does not allow total equal time in space. So like they can spend a total amount of the same amount of time in total now, but the amount of time per trip has to change, if that makes sense. So NASA says women can't spend as much time in orbit as men can because, or when they say women, they mean anybody with ovaries. Anybody with reproductive organs cannot spend as much time in space as those without reproductive organs because those are more susceptible to cancer. Younger astronauts are also not allowed to stay up as long as older astronauts.
Young astronauts can't stay up past their bedtime, is my understanding.
Yeah. Young astronauts have to be back inside the capsule by the time the streetlights come on.
Yes, especially if they want to have a story before they get tucked in.
Doesn't matter where they are, what they're doing. The streetlights come on. Those astronauts have to get right back in the capsule. It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
NASA doesn't want any excuses.
My understanding is also they have to finish everything on their plate.
Mm-hmm. They absolutely do. They have to eat all of the weird paste.
All the paste and finish the tang.
Yeah. Otherwise,
young astronauts know better. Come on. Young astronauts were raised better than this.
No, the reason young astronauts can't stay up as long as older counterparts is like literally old people ain't got as many years left for cancer to develop.
Oh, that's sad. That's a sad note.
So young people are like, hey, why don't you come on back down because you got a lot of time left where cancer could get in there and develop. Whereas like old people are like, shoot me into motherfucking space. And they're like, you got it, bud.
You know what that is?
What?
Old people have a head start to death.
Yes.
We're going to get to death faster than you can get me, cancer.
Yes. We
got a head start, baby.
Hey, and look, that's real. and that's valuable information. And if the old astronauts want to go up into space, and that's how they want to spend their golden years, we send them to space. I say send all the old people to space if they want.
Yeah. Just like throw them up there, give them a closed feed of Fox News, and let them just live in space.
Let them live in space. Let them express their political views to the vacuum of the universe and no one else. NASA Mission Control has to listen to it every time they check in. And you tell, like NASA Mission Control tells the old astronauts every time they call, they're like, yeah, roger that, Discovery capsule. This is Houston speaking. Now, I'm just calling in to see how you are. I really don't have time to talk about politics. We promised that we were not going to talk about politics. Remember that, Discovery?
Yeah, Houston. I remember you saying that, but then you kept saying Roger. And of course, that makes me think of Roger Ailes. And I got a few things I need to tell you about.
Discovery One, this is Houston again. This is really just about oxygen and pressure levels again, and whether you are growing any tentacles. I can't, listen, I got to go to work soon, and the kids are tired, so I can't really talk about politics, please.
Okay. Just real quick, though, I want to tell you about the space lasers that might be up there that were put here by the
You would cease the space lasers, Discovery One. You're up there. You work for the agency that would have put the space lasers up, Discovery One. I say send them all up there.
I'm reading that the Curiosity Mars rover did in his 253-day space cruise, had a radiation sensor. Mm-hmm. And it said that even on the shortest Earth to Mars round trip, you would get radiation that's equivalent to having a whole body CT scan every 5 or 6 days.
Yes, which you have to do if you want to know that you're healthy inside.
That's just called a one Anthony.
That's called. Telling my doctor, let's fire up the CAT scan again, because I feel like something's
already this week. You've been in here.
I feel like something's off. Let's do a full body one this time. Let's go all the way in. Let's go head all the way in, because I just feel like something's off.
But. I'm looking at your results from literally 5 days ago, and you're fine.
But I feel worse now, and I got a little bit there's a little bit of an ache, there's an ache in my tum. So
that's an insane amount of radiation.
It's an insane amount of radiation.
We're talking about putting people on Mars. That's the stated goal now, is to get people on Mars, and to think that you could get that much radiation. That's not the radiation you get hanging out on Mars. That's literally just the trip there and the trip back.
Yeah. Now,
that's a lot of radiation, man.
Now, here's the thing. Historically, now we're talking about this blood that they've been saving for 20 years, and the only recommendation from this study, and this is the first really long-term study they've done, is, hey, the normal amount of missions and the normal amount of time and the guidelines we're using are pretty good. We just want to make sure that we're screening astronauts for cancer, because they are above the normal threshold. But there was a study in 2019 that says that space radiation so far, for the normal amount of astronauting an astronaut do, just an average amount of astronauting.
Right.
Doesn't actually increase their risk of death from cancer. It doesn't increase their risk of any other kind of radiation-based diseases like heart disease. But the reason we're starting to do these longer studies is because of these potential Mars missions like you were talking about.
Right.
These longer-term missions. You think about the Artemis program, right? Where we want to go to the moon, have a base on the moon, which we can then go to Mars, all of that stuff. And this is going to require humans, and particularly NASA astronauts and researchers at first, to spend longer and longer times in space. Now, the reason this study is getting so much look or so much look is not just because of these longer missions, but because, like we were talking about, commercial space flights and deep space exploration by private organizations, right? Because it don't matter how rich you are, the government needs to know if you send miners into space for 6 months at a time, is that going to kill people? And what do we need to do to put laws in place to make sure the wealthy can't send you into space to dig space rocks and die?
Wow. Yeah.
Right?
We want to have the law so you just get right up to that edge. You can mine, but we don't want to pay any workers' comp.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
Look at the way we treat, miners here on Earth. That's what we want. We want to put you right up to the part where, right up to this, the place where you can't really prove that we gave you the black lung.
Yeah. Maybe you just found some black lung on a Tuesday at the market.
Were you rolling around in the black lung again?
Yeah.
Admit it. Admit if you were rolling around in the black lung.
You and all your miner buddies, you guys went to Black Lung Forest on the weekend to party it up at Black Lung River, getting in your inner tubes with your Coors Light. Mm-hmm. It's not our fault.
It's not our fault that y'all just love a Black Lung weekend for the boys. That's not our fault. It's not our fault that you've been stealing, that we think that you might have been stealing coal and bringing it home just to lick it.
Yeah.
Have you been licking it?
Admit it. You lick the coal. Admit it.
Have you been licking it though? So yeah, what we're thinking about, like, when average people who do not sign up with a government agency, people who do not get told from go, here are the pros, here are the cons, here's what this is going to do to you, here's what the research says, here are the dangers. Yeah. Do you still want to go? When it becomes more of a commercial thing where it's like, hey, do you want to sign this waiver that says you're willing to work in space, or do you want to sign this form that's like a standard form for the space hotel? Right? We want to make sure that the government has guidelines that are appropriate for sending people into space. So it's safe.
Right.
Or safe-ish. Safe-ish.
Man, that is wild. You know, go to space for a short period of time, 20 years later, your blood is mutating. That is wild. Yeah. That is wild to me.
I mean, so the average people that they studied flew from roughly between 1998 and 2001. They were on shuttle missions an average of 12 days. 85% of the group was male. 6 of the 14 astronauts were on their first mission. They collected the blood samples twice, 10 days before the space flight and on the day they landed back on Earth. They collected white blood cells once, 3 days after landing. And then the blood samples were left untouched in a freezer for 20 years at minus 112 degrees Fahrenheit, minus 80 degrees Celsius, just to look and watch and see what happened to the blood. And only one of the vials mysteriously crawled away.
That's a good ratio, though.
That's a great ratio. And they found that when that vial grew legs and tried to walk away, they were able to very easily kill it with fire.
That's good to know. That's good research, you know?
It seems to be afraid of fire.
That's very good to know.
And it does a scream. And that's how you know you're hurting it.
That's why all the space miners will be equipped with blowtorches and flamethrowers.
And and their suits will have internal flamethrowers that the company can flip on at any time when we find out maybe their blood was bad.
It's the button on the suit that just has a picture of a tentacle on it. Mm-hmm. And if you see a tentacle flopping around inside the spacesuit, your buddy is obliged to push that button.
It's the anti-Eldritch horror button.
That's right.
That's right. Which is also the same. I mean, listen, depending on who you ask, is the same as an anti-racism and anti-Semitic button. You shut down all those Eldritch horrors, and you seem to shut down a lot of anti-Semitism. Weird. Well, the somatic mutations in these genes were less than 2%. Now, 2% is more than the average mutation of DNA over this period of time. But it's less than it would take to make you seriously ill.
Yeah, I feel like if it was anything else, we would hear about a rash of astronauts getting cancer, and you don't hear about that.
Right.
But I also wonder, obviously these are from, you said the late 90s, early 2000s is what really this is studying. And I feel like since then, we've had the International Space Station. We've had astronauts staying much longer periods of time in space. I wonder if we're going to see that data shift at all.
One thing I'm interested. Yeah. I mean, we're talking about people that on the space station spent hundreds of days. I think the world record is somewhere around like 170 or like 211 days, something like that. Like it's the better part of a year at once. And even then they try just to not beyond radiation. They try not to let people stay up that long on average or at all, because they're just worried about bone and muscle density and how you're going to fare when you come back to Earth. So they try to get people down. But I'm also wondering what advances NASA has made in terms of shielding in suits, shielding in spacecraft, shielding in equipment. Obviously the space station is old tech now.
Right.
I wonder, when we're talking about things like these Artemis missions and what the long-term plan is, what have we created materially and what are we doing materially and in terms of engineering that will minimize that radiation? Because look, no matter what, we know that the goal is, whether it's a smart goal or not, whether it's a worthy goal or not, we all want humans living in space. It's just a weird thing that we all want.
Yeah, we want to transcend our planet.
Yeah.
I think that's natural to look up in the stars and say, hey, can we go there?
Sure. Listen, it's natural as a kid to want to lick a fucking outlet just to see. But we know there's no reason to lick an outlet and nothing cool happens when you lick an outlet. But you want to know.
I mean, something cool happens if it's not you.
If it's not you, it's pretty dope to watch.
Real cool. Yes.
It's actually pretty dope to watch. And even if it's your own, even if it's a kid that or like a family member, it's still kind of fun to watch it happen.
Oh, especially if it's a family member.
Because you're just like, you idiot.
If you're the one that convinced them to do it, that's even more fun.
Buddy, that's a win-win-win is what we call that. It's not just a win-win where both people involved win. It's a win-win-win because the people watching that are not involved.
That's right.
But this
first party, second party, and third party.
That's right. So we want to live in space. So because we want to live in space, or we want people out there all the time for whatever reason, we want to make sure, obviously, that it don't be killing us.
Yeah, and we joke all the time about space wants to kill you.
That's not a joke.
It does.
It's not a joke.
It's not a joke. It's true, but it always surprises me how true.
Yeah.
Because you think of all the ways that space wants to kill you immediately, and those are pretty shocking and numerous. But there are so many ways that space will kill you over the long term as well. Yeah. This feels wild to me that you go to space and your blood changes in 20 years. That's pretty wild. That's pretty, I think that dampens my enthusiasm for this kind of thing,
Yeah. Well, it's one of those things where like a small mutation over time, due to the nature of how the human body works, replicates. And that's why cancer is so insidious. And why when somebody is, has chemotherapy or surgery or whatever and tests negative for cancer, they still have you come in for a period of like 2 to 5 years just to make sure there wasn't just a single mutation that they left there that replicated. Usually your body is very good. If the mutation is small, your body's good at being like, ooh, that one's bad. Let's not replicate that one anymore. So this is the thing that we want to watch. And that's what you're talking about is like space is passively dangerous. Mm-hmm. It's passively dangerous over time. Simply spending time there with the best equipment we have can be dangerous. So we want to minimize that. NASA, of course, wants to minimize that entirely. And the people who want to do space tourism and make money by sending employees to space want to do it as minimally as they have to. And so that's why we're running these long-term studies.
Yeah. I wonder how many of these things you don't even hear about. You know, these things that are actively in the middle of its long term, you know, like I can only imagine how much study is, you know, you start with International Space Station, you start with something that's more recent, and it's way too early to tell some of this stuff.
Yeah. That's
going to be going on for decades. The learnings that we'll get.
Even the first,
to mind the number of fronts that they have to be diligent about, you know,
even the first people that do live in space, quote unquote, safely, you know,
right,
are still going to be sending tons and tons of data back to Earth.
Yeah.
Just to be like, okay, well, it seems like you're safe, but what's happening? And I think, you know, one thing that's changed in me over the last 10 years, 15 years, I'd sure love to go to space, but I don't know that I'd ever want to be, you know, 15 years ago, you could have been like, hey, man, if you had the opportunity to colonize Mars, and you knew there were like 100 people going, would you go? And I was like, 100 people is a lot of people. That's enough people to hang out with for the rest of my life. Go to space, see what space is all about, live there, be a pioneer in space. That seemed really amazing to me. Over the last 10, 15 years, I've been like, absolutely not.
Well, you realize that it would be you and 99 assholes.
Sure.
They're all astronauts.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They'll
That's
all
the
be
thing.
better than you and smarter than you. And they're like, why did this guy get to come? He didn't do any of the training. Somebody just asked him one day if he wanted to colonize Mars. And he was like, yeah.
My suit says GP01. It's like GP01. It's like, yeah, guinea pig. We're all useful. We're all useful. You're the test. You're the test to see if an average person of average intelligence and physical and physical prowess is going to be good out here, or if you're going to die like a dumb baby.
We just wrote a phenomenal TV pilot. It's 99 of the most exceptional people and one idiot because they had to send somebody who was below average just to see.
Just one normal guy. Listen, we know that you're all the top specimens. You're all gonna be totally fine. What's this guy gonna do?
But Norm over here, he we'll see if he's. My name is not Norm. No, I know.
No, it's short for Normie.
Norm.
It's short for Normie. That's what we call you.
Everybody's working and you know, biologically engineering plants to survive in this environment, and they let Norm like mop up.
Yeah.
You know?
It's like, what are you doing, Norm? It's like, I don't know. I thought I would reorganize all of our closets. Why? I don't know. I just need something to do.
Oh, Norm. I really, you know, we actually had a system with the closets.
No, I know, but I just think it's aesthetically more pleasing if we organize everything by color. I saw it on Pinterest.
Yeah, but see that disrupts all of it. We had everything organized.
Norm, there's
by
a
priority.
coagulant that we inject into people in emergencies if they're bleeding out. I was like, yeah, and what color was that? Because I can tell you where it is. If you tell me what color it is, I'll go, oh, coagulant. I got it.
Oh, Norm, can you just sit there and let us draw
blood? I thought I'd water the
please?
Plants in the garden. No, Norm, that's a hydroponic garden. If you overwater it, we don't have any food for 3.5 months.
Just sit pretty and let us draw your blood, Norm. That's what you're here for. You're here for us to draw your blood and then look at it.
And here's the thing. This is where we would say in Act 3, how does Norm save the space station? But I don't think he does in Act 3. Like, if we're being very honest about Norm's life is basically not to be bullied, but to be kind of like pushed around a little bit until he dies. And that's kind of why I don't want to colonize Mars anymore. And
he dies real early. He dies in like early Act 2 for some reason.
Yeah, no.
You think it's Norm's story?
It's not Norm's show. In no way is it Norm. In real life, it's not Norm's show. And we know that. I think this is very interesting. It doesn't make me want to stop. Like if I ever, before the end of my life, could go on one of these like 12-day space excursions, like they say are going to happen by the end of my lifetime, I'd go.
Well, I think the fact about it being 2% and being sort of below the threshold of anything to be really concerned about is the deciding factor there. But it certainly makes me, every story that we do about this just makes it seem like all of those sci-fi dreams are so much farther away than I ever thought.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Because there's so many hurdles to overcome.
Yeah.
It's a little depressing.
It's a little, it's a little depressing, but also it's not. Like, I don't know.
Well, there's people on it. That's good news.
There's people on it. And honestly, as much as I've dreamed about going to space, I never really thought we would even talk about it being within the realm of possibility in my lifetime.
Well, if it is in our lifetimes, it's going to be in that wonderful golden period where we got that head start, Yeah. We can go to space and be like, hey, maybe I come back. Maybe I don't.
I'm for it. Honestly, a death in space on my own terms is a dope way to go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Based on all the Star Trek movies I've seen, space deaths get the coolest funerals.
Oh my God. The best funerals. And here's what's crazy. You come back.
Oh yeah. They find you.
And maybe you're something different. I don't know. Let us know if you would still want to go to space, live in space. What would you want what's your highest comfort level of interaction with space, I guess is what I'm asking.
I thought you were saying, what's the highest point you'd like to get off of Earth?
Yeah. Give me something in feet or miles. Give me how many meters you'd like to go and how long you'd like to stay there. What's your consent level of interaction with space is what I'm asking. You can let us know on Twitter. I'm at @acarboni.
I'm at Jeff Canada.
Or you can let us know on the Discord where everybody's talking and where I got this story from Mark, no nickname, Noofer.
He's the Noofs. He's the Noofer. He's the best. And you can be a contributor to the show, or you can just hang out and chat and read all the cool stories that we didn't pick. Lots of really awesome science stories there. Lots of all kinds of chatter on the Discord. All you got to do to get access, because it is an exclusive club.
So exclusive.
All you got to do is give us at least $1 a month. And you do that by going over to patreon.com/wehaveconcerns.
That's right. Give us your lunch money, nerds. We love you.
Yeah.